John mentioned, we are an iconic Austin art institution, 40 years, and we like to say that our motto is that we are bold about art. In order to introduce you to women in their work, I probably have to take you back to the 70s. In the 70s, women in Austin started looking around and realizing that there was nowhere to show their work. There were very few women who were shown in the museums that were in town or the galleries that were here. This wasn't limited to Austin or even Texas. It was pretty much a national, international phenomenon where women, work by women and even people of color had been sort of undervalued, unrecognized to the level it should have been. And they sort of followed the lead-in of a group of ladies in New York City who called themselves the Guerrilla Girls and adopted this gorilla mask and asked the question, well, what do women have to do to get into a museum? They created posters like this, they did events, they did protests, but they started letting people know that although when you go to a museum, 85% of the nudes might be women, but the works by women were few and far between, less than 5%. So a group of ladies in Austin got together, started looking at the fact that there were very few shows. The graphic that we just went by was the number of solo shows that happened in the US in 1978, which was 0 out of all the shows that had happened in the country. Again, very few women who were being shown in galleries and very few women who were being sold at auction. You could probably name 5. Georgia O'Keeffe, Frida Kahlo, Mary Cassatt. Some people might know Helen Frankenthaler. Some people might know Joan Mitchell. But to get to that second hand, people had to really reach back, or you had to really be in the arts. So the women of Austin who were in the arts, both artists and collectors and aficionados, put together this organization. And they wanted a place where we could support women, nurture them, mentor them, and have a place for performances, have a gallery for shows, have a place where we could talk about art, bring people in to talk about what was happening in the art world. So we are now located at 1700 Lavaca. That's where our gallery is. And I'm hoping after this pandemic is over, or when we are allowed to go and open up, you will be able to come and visit. But we have been, in 40 years, have gotten to a point where we're fairly nationally recognized. We have put on performances, and in the next slide, yes, and shows since 1978. Our first show was in 1979. We invited Marcia Tucker, who was a curator at the Whitney and became a founder of the new museum, to come to Austin to put together a show of women artists, about 100 and some pieces, and it was well regarded. Since that show, we have not looked back. We have continued to grow. We were the first organization, arts organization in Texas to get a National Endowment for the Arts grant. We have been profiled in national magazines, but we have also been profiled on NPR. We did a performance of I Am Annie Mae, and that was a rousing musical. That was a collaboration between a musical director and the author of the book by the same name. That was about a Black woman growing up in early 20th century Texas. And it was on Morning Edition on NPR. We have been profiled in national and international art magazines. So Art in America has done profiles on us. We have had our shows exhibited in Art Forum magazine, and we have had quite a good success run with foundations that have been supportive of our mission. Bloomberg Philanthropies has given us $75,000 just recently to provide for planning for future programs. And the Ford Foundation has just recently given us $50,000 for our new building, which I'll talk about in a minute. But we've been supported by various other foundations in the past, and the Andy Warhol has been a wonderful supporter We have probably received up to about $1 million over the many years of our being open from the Andy Warhol Foundation. We also have been listed locally in the Austin Chronicle very often as being the best gallery under the Best of Austin. So I'm going to turn this over to Diane now, and she's going to run through some slides that are going to highlight the programs and the exhibitions that we've had and the artists that we have had come.
In 1996, we brought Betty Saar. One of the missions of Women in Their Work is not only to show Texas artists, but also to bring national artists to Texas. Betty Saar came to Women in Their Work, like I said, in 96. She had her first solo exhibition at MoMA 23 years later in 2019 when MoMA reopened, as well as the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. Adrienne Piper was another young artist that we brought to Women in Their Work in the early 90s. She also had a major solo exhibition at MoMA in 2018. So we have a history of really finding these up and coming artists and try to help springboard them onto their career.
It's a Lions Club meeting.
Oh.
As Betty mentioned, beyond visual art, we also show performance. We've done collaborations with Black Arts Alliance. We've brought urban bushwomen to Austin several times. Some of the artists that we've worked with have gone on to win pretty prestigious awards, including the MacArthur Genius Award. Suzanne Bocanegra recently received the Guggenheim Fellow. She was in that first exhibition, Women in Sight, that was curated by Marcia Tucker. Ellen Fullman also won the Guggenheim Fellow this year. Women in Their Work brought her to do performances, as you can see, numerous times. And Lisa Olstein is a poet who also won the Guggenheim this year. Young Jean Lee is a performer. Women in Their Work and Fusebox Festival collaborate on performances, and she recently won the Guggenheim Fellow, I believe in 2017. Yulia Lenina won the Fulbright Scholar. She had a solo exhibition at Women in Their Work in 2013. And Abby Z and the New Utility won the Bessie Award in 2018 for this performance, Abandoned Playground, which we brought to Austin.
And you might be more familiar with Women in Their Work if you remember an installation that we did on Lake Ladybird in 2013, which was called Thirst. This installation garnered a lot of national and international press, both from the New York Times, BBC Canada, Huffington Post, and PBS all did articles on it, as well as, of course, the American Statesman, where you probably saw it. This installation was a 38-foot tall tree that had been killed in the drought of 2011 and 2013. And it was installed in the lake to sort of memorialize the 500 million trees that had been killed during that drought. Part of that installation was surrounded by 14,000 prayer flags. And as part of the pandemic, the artist who had originally done those, Bailey Liu, has made 1,000 masks out of those prayer flags that she has donated to the medical community, but she has also made some additional masks that she has gladly donated to organizations near and dear to her heart. We received one that we are going to auction off to the Lions after this program. So please stick around for that to help support the Lions programs.
So throughout our 42 years, we have actively developed the careers of over 1,900 artists through visual art exhibitions, performances, music, dance, and theater events, literary readings, and film festivals. The next couple of slides that you'll see are the visual exhibitions that we have presented in our gallery on Lavaca over the past, I would say these span maybe 15 years. Starting with Kelly O'Connor. She's a San Antonio-based artist that created installations as well as collages on the wall. Bailey Liu is the artist who created the Thirst public art exhibition. She also had an exhibition in the gallery. It was called the Mending Project, and you can see above her all these scissors. Lori Frick is an Austin artist who exhibited at Women in Their Work in 2012. Anna Lorenz also is an Austin artist and sculptor. This exhibition is from 2016. Adela India, this is an unusual installation with glass and plastic and CD covers. Ana Fernandez is a painter based in San Antonio who exhibited in, I believe, 2015. Ann Johnson created an installation in the gallery that was to remind you of a park. Her exhibition was called Real Talk, and this is a detail of a leaf where she's screen printed portraits on them. Annette Lawrence is an artist based out of North Texas. This is an installation view from her show, which was probably the oldest one you'll see today, from '98. She has work in the Cowboys Stadium in Arlington now. Candace Hicks showed in the gallery last year. She was using the theme of murder mystery novels to create her artwork, and all of her pieces were created out of cut paper. Emily Fleischer is another San Antonio-based artist who created these little miniature sculptures of landscapes. Lorna Feinstein is a Dallas-based artist that used invitations that she had received from different art galleries and museums and cut them up into these patterns and covered the entire gallery floor. And then Hollis Hammonds is based in Austin. She's a professor at St. Edward's. Her exhibition dealt with her childhood experience of living through a fire of her house. So you can see it's reimagined in this sculpture and then these large-scale drawings in the background. And then this was last summer, Sheena Hohen Hauntings. It was a sculpture show that was primarily based on hood ornaments from cars. There were female forms that she's transformed and distorted and cast out of different materials, some very traditional like bronze, but then some others that are like made out of concrete. And then lastly, Megan Geckler, using very humble materials to create an installation of these colored lines that were made out of ropes. So you can see there's quite a variety in what materials and methods that artists use to create their exhibitions.
You may be familiar with Michael Barnes. He was the art critic for the Austin American Statesman, and just recently wrote a very nice little article about us. He titled it, "You've Got to See This, Blown Away by More Austin Digital Art and Artifacts." And his quote is that women in their work has been a crucial player in the American art scene since 1977 and has worked hard to develop the careers of over 1,900 artists. I can say that some of my favorite Austin exhibitions over the years have been staged at its longtime spot on Lavaca Street. The organization has carefully documented its past, and from its homepage, one can choose from exhibitions and programs and archive for digital tours. And we're going to talk a little bit more about our resources on our website in a little bit later, but I wanted to mention that we have different levels of membership, and one of our memberships is referred to as the Art Divas. It's an extraordinary membership that actually allows you to go to collectors' homes and see how they live with their art, what they've collected, what it means to them, why they were drawn to that particular piece. And then you also get to go to artist studios where you get to see the artists work and how they live with their art and what inspires them and what their process is. So it's a rather extraordinary entree into the art world here in Austin.
So we've talked quite a bit about our exhibitions and performances, but another aspect of Women in Their Work are our educational programs. Since 1986, we've developed a comprehensive education program to serve primarily at-risk students in the Austin Independent School District. We bring students into the gallery and as much as possible have them meet with the exhibiting artists. And then we give them a tour, ask them to think critically about the artworks, ask questions, and then make artwork inspired either thematically by the exhibition or by the materials that the artist has used. We've done this, like I said, for over 30 years and bring about 800 students annually into the gallery. We do this free of charge. We provide the bus transportation and provide a stipend for the classroom teacher to be able to hire a sub so that the program truly is free for the students and for the schools. And beyond Austin ISD, we try to work with all Austin area schools, including Texas School for the Blind, when exhibitions will allow that can be interactive. We do try to bring in Texas School for the Blind. I know that that's a school that you all work with quite a bit. Some of our public programs include artist talks and performances. With each exhibition, we hold an opening reception, which allows the public to get the first look at the artwork, and the artist does a quick little artist talk in the middle of the opening, explaining her point of view and often gives insights into the process and the meaning of the exhibitions. So with each show, we have an opening and then we do a public program to help interpret the exhibitions during the run of the show.
So as much as we feel like we have gained in the last 40 years, there's still a lot of room to run. This graphic shows that artists in major museums are still, only 13% of those are women artists, and we're still underrepresented. In galleries, in auction sales, still only 2% of the sales, and this is worldwide, are 2% of those are actually women artists. Whereas in galleries, the representation has grown to 30%. I guess we feel like we're a little bit of that, but that's still woefully below where it should be. And the share of those solo exhibitions in museums is still woefully underrepresented. Only 14% in the last 10 years have actually involved women artists. The share of work that museums are buying so that they can then exhibit it is still woefully under what it should be. Only 11% of work in the last 10 years. Mark Peo has a lovely quote, or not a lovely quote, but the numbers are devastating. We think we are going in the right direction, but the perception has changed more than the reality. So we are looking forward to the next 40 years. We have identified a new home. We are actually going to be closing on this in a couple of weeks. It is a building that's over there just east of the interstate on Cesar Chavez. And these interior pictures, of course, are just the existing tenant, but you can see that it's a fabulous big gallery space that we're looking forward to holding all kinds of exhibitions in. And in addition, this is going to give us a new program that we can that we're looking forward to, where we can do outdoor exhibits as well as maybe events. We have this lovely outdoor space, and we invite you to get more involved in women in their work, you can, of course, contact Diane or anyone at the staff at info@womenintheirwork.org. But you can go to our website, womenintheirwork.org. You will find information about exhibits. You will find artist talks that go back several years. Our current exhibit right now, Jill Bedgood, is in the gallery. We hope that you'll be able to see it if and when we're allowed to open and people feel safe about going. But she has an artist talk on the website right now where she talks about her work, and we invite you to go and to listen to that. We have an exhibit coming up in August, which will be interesting, appropriate for this time and era. An artist, Melanie Clemens, is going to be there August 10th to talk about virtual reality. We're not exactly sure what she's going to be doing, but we get the impression she's going to make you, the viewer of the website, somehow be involved and brought into the gallery. So we're all looking very much forward to that. And we also have, like you just talked about your fundraising, we are fundraising. And so September is our annual fundraiser. It will, of course, be a virtual fundraiser this year. Typically, we've had 150 or so pieces of art, and they've been in that affordable range of, say, 200 to 800. This time, we're going to limit it to just 50 pieces of art, I think. So I encourage all of you to put September 17th on your calendars because that will be our Red Dot fundraiser, and you will get the opportunity to go and look at any of the art that day. If you're interested in bidding and you want a free review, there will be tickets that will be sold to allow you up to 2 days advance viewing of the show, so that you can then decide if you're interested in something that you just can't live without and want to put a bid in. You'll be ready the night of the show. But we also are going to be doing something new for us this year in August. I don't know the date of that right now, mid-August sometime, in which we're also going to be doing another web fundraiser, which will focus on masks. And so we will have all of these masks that will be been done by artists here in Austin or in Texas. We may get some international ones, we're not sure, but that will be on our website as well. So please feel free to check in on our website, womenintheirwork.org, so that you can keep up with any of that information and keep up with any of those opportunities. But like I mentioned earlier, we have a mask that was created by Bailey Liu, our artist of Thirst, and I'm going to turn it over to the Lions group to auction that off as a fundraiser for your group, the Lions Club. And I think I've been authorized to put in a $20 bid from Mac Ragsdale, but I'm going to do him one better. I'm going to go to 25. So I don't know if Lenore is going to do that. We have to unshare the screen and get back to Lenore or Mark.
We need to cancel the spotlight, and we need to pass the spotlight on to JP Kirks. He's going to do the auction.
Okay, we have been challenged.
Can you see everybody on your screen, JP, so that if they raise their hand, you can see them?
Seeing everybody, and the rules are if you raise your hand, you bid another $5 increment. And I will take any nose scratching, hair moving, glass readjusting, or ear pulling as a similar bid. So we will start the bid now. Betty has $25. I can see all of you. 30. There's 30. Ann?
Can we see the mask? Where is the mask?
Where's the mask?
Okay.
Okay, I'll be right back. I have to run upstairs. I should have had it here, and I will come back and I will Vanna White it for you.
Well, we saw some pictures of the prayer flags as they appeared next to the tree. So I think you get some idea of what the mask would look like. But even sight unseen, Ann has bid $30. Who may give me 35? I need 35. There's 35. Mark Hastings, 35. Give me 40. Give me 40. Give me 40. $40. Sydney, $40. Give me 45. John Neffler, 45. Give me 50. Anybody give me 50? Anybody 50? I need 50. Come on, 50. Ann Ward, 55. 55. I need 55. I need 55. Folks sure
I'm
have smart arms here. 55, John Niefler. Do
And
I
this
have
is not
60?
yours, this
60.
is mine. You're getting a new one.
Okay, here is the display on Betty Trent. You see that?
Yes.
Very cute.
I have a bid of 55 from John Niefler, 55, 60 from Mark Hastings, 60 from Mark Hastings, 65 from Peggy Bruner, 65, give me 70. Anybody give me 70? I need 70. 65 from Peggy Bruner, 70 from John Niefler, 70, 75. I need 75. John Niefler's in for 70. Anybody give me 75? 75, looking for 75. Sure
Peggy.
got quiet out there.
Peggy.
There's
Peggy.
75, Peggy Bruner. All right, John, it's between you and Peggy now. I got 75 from Peggy. John, I'm hovering over you. 75, 75. All right, need 80.
You got Tommy over there.
Tommy Cowan in for $80, $80.
I mean, it comes with a
85?
fabulous story.
I didn't hear what was said.
It comes
comes
with
with
a
a fabulous
fabulous story.
Comes with a fabulous story. Well, Tommy's out because he can't read. I got $80 from Tommy anyway. Did Tommy give me 85? I got John, 85. John Niefler, 85. Anybody give me 90? Anybody, 90? 90 for Tommy Cowan, in spite of the fact that he can't read.
Okay.
$90. 95, Peg Bruner. 95. 100, Tommy? John? $100. $100. 105, Tommy. Peg, 110? I need 110. Need 110. Tommy for 105. We're going to sell it. 105. You're in for 105.
You can speak, Tommy. We can hear you.
All right, Tommy, you want for 200 and just call it all off here?
No, I thought we'd do 150 though.
All right, 150. 150 right there. It's a big bid. 150. Anybody give me 155?
I'm gonna have to have it autographed by Betty Trent.
Well,
Well,
actually,
you who
I
can't
forgot
read
to
and see you
mention,
can't write, that'll be tough.
I forgot to mention that actually Emily Little was part of this exhibit. She was the architect who was involved.
Okay.
Maybe you
That
get.
That adds a
Take
bit
both
of
of their
a dimension to it.
signatures.
150. 150 is a high bid right now. Alan Ford, you bidding? I saw his light come on. I got 150. All in? All done? Anybody else? Sold it for 150 to TC Cowan.
Oh, you guys are so fabulous. You guys
All
are
right.
fabulous.
Rudy,
Okay.
back to you.
Well, let me know, and I'll mail your never worn mask to you.
I'll get you Tommy's details, Betty, or if he's got your email, he can do it straight to you.
I'll get in touch with her.
Okay, great. Fabulous.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Betty. Thank you, and Diane, for a wonderful presentation. And it was very informative. A lot of us were not aware of what you were sharing. So thank you so much.
We need you to get by the gallery, and we need you to check in on the webpage, see what's going on.
All right, we will.
Good.
Okay. And
Questions?
Yeah. This JP, you gave us, Betty, the name of the person who designed the exhibit, but who designed and made all the prayer flags?
It would be Bailey and I'm not sure. Yeah, Bailey Lou did all the prayer flags and made the masks.
Okay.
Emily and Yancey were part of the team that were involved in getting the tree into the lake.
And follow-up question, where did the tree come from? We had many died around the area. Do you know where it came from?
I'm not sure where that tree came from.
I feel like it was Bastrop, but where exactly, I'm not sure.
JP, that may be the tree that you and I buried at that square dedication about 30 years ago. Do you remember that?
The Republic Square tree that no longer exists. It could well be.
Somewhere that it was sandy or the loose enough soil, they were able to get all of those roots with the tree as well.
any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question, Rudy.
Go for it.
This is Gaylord, and Betty, great seeing you in action again. I've missed seeing you. And thank you for just a very enlightening and interesting program that I'm really impressed with the educational aspect. For us old country boys that grew up on a dairy farm, we weren't exposed to much art unless the family Bible had some pictures in it. But bottom line, when is the expected occupancy of your new facility? That backyard looks very inviting for some fascinating exhibits and opportunities and events. And I wonder if we'll have public events there or whether it be available. But roughly, when do you think you'll occupy your new offices or your new building?
I don't think we're going to occupy until the first of the year.
Okay, good.
We'll be at the
I look forward to the tour.
Great.
Any other questions?
If you do have a school district that that you know of that might be interested in having kids come to the gallery, you'll need to contact Diane, which you can do on the website. But it's just so up in the air right now about when we can open and for how many. But we're hoping to get back to those kinds of programs soon. We'll see.
I would think some of the East Austin schools would really benefit considerably from exhibits and some of your educational programs. Because I know one of my sons went to Keeling, and they were kind of starved for extracurricular activities like that to be exposed to the arts and cultures. And so that might be an area to consider.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that often the arts are the first thing that people think of cutting when they want to cut the education or the city budgets. And so even right now, the city of Austin is going to be looking at some severe cuts to arts organizations. I think, did we find out that our funding that we've typically been getting from them has been cut by about 50%?
Yeah, 58%.
Yeah, I think they left more money in for some of the art organizations that are more allied with people of color, but our organization, which typically gets some funding, and it's also because some of our funding is involved in our being an umbrella organization that then they can give us the money to manage for support of artists through the city, but they give us the money to act as an umbrella for that. And I'm not sure if some of that funding was affected or it's just the direct funding to us, but I think we're going to be seeing an issue in the next year for all of the arts funding. It's very sad.
I don't, Mark, if you can hear me, I'm not able to see everyone. I see their names, but I cannot see their hands going up. If you have that ability, would you call on whoever else has a question?
Rita, I don't know why you can't see it, but JP, go ahead. You got your hand up.
Betty, off the wall question sort of regarding your new building. Is that by any chance currently a real estate office?
It's not a real estate office. It's actually Big Red Sun, the landscape design firm.
Okay.
And so we are lucky that they actually did the installation of that outdoor space. So it's really fabulous.
Well, I share Gaylord's comment that looks like a very inviting venue there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Anyone else?
No, I don't think. Yeah,
I have
go
a
ahead.
question. I guess kind of a question. Do y'all exhibit any work from other local women artists like Daryl Howard? You know Daryl?
Well, Diane might be more familiar with that. I'm not sure if Daryl has had an exhibit at our gallery or whether she might have been part of the Red Dot, because the Red Dot allows us to have sort of that joint show where we have up to 150 artists who can submit work and have work by a big variety of artists. But I'm not sure if I remember her name.
Yeah, I don't remember her name as having a solo exhibition, but yeah, she very well might have been in Red Dot.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, she's a neighbor of mine, and I've got a house full of her art.
Well, if she's not familiar with us, make sure she does know about us.
I will do that.
We have solicitations for artists every year. I think we just recently had already done that and have selected the artists for the next 2 years. So we're looking pretty far off into the future in terms of who we have shows with. But we do have a solicitation, and I think it's early in the year, right, Diane, when we?
Yeah, the one we just finished the call was in January. So it probably will be early January or February next year when we'll ask for more applications.
Okay, I'll make sure you get her information.
I think we
Great.
have two more questions, one from Steve Riley and then Alan Ford.
Diane and Betty, thank you so much for your presentation. It was wonderful. I'm a Brooklyn kid, so I was born and raised in New York City, and I was fortunate to be brought to museums all the time because they took all the kids from the inner city and gave them free reign at MoMA and Metropolitan and the Whitney. So it's great to see the art world being so vibrant here in Austin. I guess I had a couple of questions. Have you guys looked at the Austin Art Boards, the billboard project that goes on every year where they have different artists submit their work and get that put up on billboards?
I believe that's a city-run project.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's a cool thing.
I mean, one of my first gigs in Austin about 12 years ago was selling billboards with Reagan Outdoor, and they were the people that kind of started that group. So I can see if I can find who's running it now and message you guys that contact. It may be worth it as a way of certainly promoting the, the organization and getting some of those artists in the mix. They may not even be in the mix yet. So.
Right, because we do try to collaborate with a lot of different organizations, and one of the things that's recently been done that we were not involved with, unfortunately, if any of you have been to the parks, but the city in collaboration with different organizations, they've just painted the parks with circles and dots and squares to sort of highlight social distancing. So I sort of encourage you to go by and see that. Unfortunately, I think the parks are going to be closed this weekend, but maybe tomorrow or after Monday, and just go by and see all our painted squares in the parks.
My other thought was too, once this thing gets more manageable and we can be more mobile, is getting out to some of the outer lying areas, Round Rock, Cedar Park, Leander, and maybe having smaller installations. Because those areas, I think, would always benefit from, I mean, it's funny because so many people will say, I won't go south of the river, I won't go here, or that. So it may be an opportunity to widen the sphere of influence to go to some of those outer lying areas too.
Yeah, we would look forward to it.
Yeah.
Alan Ford, do you want to go ahead?
Well, yes. First of all, thank you for a really interesting presentation. It does make us want to load up and go look at the exhibits there. And this is really more of a comment than a question, but there is a direct tie-in to your earlier statistics on depictions of women in art. Every year I try to see that we recognize July the 2nd as the birthday of one of Austin's earliest heroes, Angelina Eberly, who is depicted in a massive bronze sculpture in the 600 block of Congress. She is not nude, although she is in her nightgown. And in 1842, she fired a signal cannon that alerted the populace to the fact that President Sam Houston's minions were trying to move the state archives from Austin to Houston to move the Capitol there. And I argue that if we didn't have the Capitol, we probably wouldn't have the University of Texas in its present form, and the Capitol and the university are two of our major driving forces of weirdness. So I like to say that Angelina Eberly did more to make Austin weird or keep it weird than most anybody who ever followed in her footsteps. Thank you.
Sid, I think you have the last question.
Okay, I'm sitting here remembering the 1980s when I used to go to Women and Their Works opening exhibition, and I remember it as if it was yesterday, and I am so pleased to be able to, over the years, to follow your development and your growth. I'm very proud of Women and Their Works. I used to own Clarksville Pottery and Galleries on West Lynn and then at Central Market. So the art world has been a major part of my life. Thank you for your excellent presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you. And so we appreciate that presentation today, as you've heard from several of our members. we need to go to hear about our next week's program. So Anne, would you tell us about that, please?
Yes. Well, next week we have something a little different. Our program is going to be by Sandy Kress. He's an attorney. He's very involved in education and served in political roles or political appointed roles. But I heard Sandy as part of the UT Ollie program. And I took a 6-week class with him, and it was on Hasidic tales. And so what he's going to do next week is kind of just do a Cliff Notes version of that course that he taught. And on our website, there is a handout that you need to download before our meeting next week, or at least take a look at it. It lists the tales that he's going to talk about. And these are stories that originated in Eastern Europe back, I believe, in the 14th century. And the people were very oppressed, and the rabbi was trying to give them hope for the future. And it's amazing how those tales from so long ago can be very comforting to us today as we're living in these times of COVID-19. So I hope you'll join us next Thursday, and be sure to print out the handout so that you can follow along as Sandy covers those tales.
Thank you, Anne. Well, that brings us to the close of our meeting today. Thank you to everyone, and especially I forgot to thank JP. What an auctioneer we have in our midst. So thank you so much for a very successful auction today, as well as all our presenters, and especially to our speakers. So thank you very much. Remember, our 4th of July is coming up this weekend. Wave the flag, wear your colors, be patriotic. And that brings us to a close. So our meeting is now adjourned.
Bye.
Bye. Thank
Do all
you.
that and stay home.
Thank you so much.
No,
Thank you,
Again, Betty.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
happy